Welcome, everybody. Nice to see you again over here in our Frogeex Green Tech Live round. Today, it's my great pleasure to welcome also an expert in this field, systemic thinker, a holistic planner as well. And also, I hope to call you also a friend, Mr. Diego Romeiro, which we cooperate for quite some time already together on different projects. And yeah, with this, thank you so much, Diego, for taking the time at such an early hour from Brazil, dialing in from Brazil. Talking about the challenges with photovoltaics today with us.
Yeah, thank you, Yana, for inviting me for this. And yeah, I will be, I will do my possible to cover at least part of the life cycle of the photovoltaics.
Absolutely. And thank you so much. Let me maybe share in the beginning a little bit of an intro on Diego, his background, and also what he's kind of working with and specialized in for several years already. So once again, warm introduction, warm welcome to Diego Romero, a holistic and systemic thinker. He is renowned for his research and commitment to address challenges our environment faces with ecological solutions. In his current capacity, Diego is the chief scientist at the Global Impact Alliance, providing guidance for businesses and municipalities on sustainability. He's also active in the advisory board of Frogeex, and additionally to that, he's also the founder at Romeiro, a biotechnology startup based in Brazil, producing high-quality natural products with healing effects on skin and hair. With research conducted and an academic background in environmental impact analysis, forest ecology, plant anatomy, raw materials, industrial process, chemical waste disposal management, indoor plant growth management, he's well equipped to take us on a ride through systemic, however the curve goes, through the systemic challenges with the highly popular photovoltaic systems. I mean, we're pretty happy to have them since 2-3 years. There is a massive boom in the installation and the application of this technology. There is a growing demand. We saw the last numbers, 2021, 2022 was an increase by 45% in terms of the capacity on the global market. The same is expected for this year, with a stunning outlook for the coming years. Now, it's a lot of positives that you can achieve with photovoltaics, and I believe Diego is gonna kind of show us a little bit around what are the ups, but also some downs of PVs. So, with humanity, we have a very interesting capacity, which is once we do something, we really go for it. So sometimes it's the negatives or the downsides which we tend to forget about or not kind of address transparently, that may cause some harm in the end, that is not kind of calculated in such a especially scaled implementation. So with this, if that would be okay for you, Diego, I would hand over to you for the brief on this topic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's go.
We do, as always, we are happy that Diego took the time and is going to share some insights on the topic. What are the applications and the impact from there? But we also have room for your observations, for comments, for anything that is of interest for you, especially from the industry or interested or developers or people that would like to invest also in this area. What is the thing that you care about? So please use the comment section. We are streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and use your chance to discuss with Diego and get his advice or perspective on that. With this, hand over to you, Diego.
Thank you. Yeah, so I bring this presentation today just to give some insights about some points in the life cycle of the photovoltaics. So when we think about photovoltaics, the good thing about the photovoltaics is less carbon emissions. So we can produce energy with less carbon emissions. This is a good thing. But when we think about the entire life cycle of the photovoltaics, we can find a lot of harm. And yeah, most of the times we miss that. So here we have basically the life cycle of the photovoltaic. So from the mining industry to produce the materials and the photovoltaics transportation, implement the farm, power lines to distribute the energy, and waste disposal. Most of the time, people think about mining and waste produced by the photovoltaics after the lifespan. So for sure, mining is it's a problem because cause damage to the environmental that is like we cannot fix the problem so soon, and yeah, most of the times change the entire environmental, change the microclimate in the area, and so it's a huge damage. The industry have emissions and all. Transportation, same thing. Transportation, when we think about transportation through the oceans, we can cause harm to the animals and all. So yeah, but two parts of this life cycle people don't think so much. That is the farm and the power lines. So the power lines have this problem because they cut the environmental in half sometimes, and these can like not help so much the movement of animals and all, create electrical and magnetic fields through the power lines that can cause damage for the oh, I forgot the word for the behavior of the animals and all. And the farm cause a lot of damage too, that most of the times we don't care or we don't see happen. So I focus today to look to the harm that the implementation of the farm can create. So yeah, so when we think about life cycle and sustainability, uh, most of the times people think in a linear way, in a reductionist way. So they just look to that, and these bring some thoughts like that solar panels can reduce CO2 emissions more than trees. And yeah, this is high damage for sustainability because they are looking just for CO2. And when we have this focus view of something, we can miss a lot of harm that we are producing. And even sometimes this harm can bring worse scenarios than just produce energy with less CO2 emissions. So when we think about that, the first thing that we need to look is to the albedo. So the albedo is the reflectance that the surface can have. So how much energy that comes from the sun will be reflected to the sky again. So here is an example of an article that shows this difference. So a photovoltaic farm like this have these reflectance. So these numbers would be in percentage. So 40% of reflectance for short waves, infrared, visible light, and ultraviolet. So we have these reflectance, and in the same area or near, without the photovoltaic farm, we have these reflectance. So these can cause a lot of impact on the climate when we think about how much energy will be reflected and how much will keep in heat on the surface, and these can increase the temperature sometimes because this heat on the surface um, uh, will be will produce infrared energy that goes to the atmosphere again and will be captured by the CO2. So these flows of energy is very important when we think about implementation of photovoltaic farms. And thinking about that, we have a lifespan of the photovoltaic farm at least 25 to 30 years. That is the capacity of the material. So it's a lot of damage when we think about climate. So here just to show, so the short waves are here, infrared are here, uh, visible light, and ultraviolet. So this, so the light comes from the sun, hits the surface, and then like the thermodynamic laws, the light will become more will become with more energy and will tend to go to infrared and short waves. So based on that, and like the idea about the albedo, here is just an example to understand how the albedo can change based on the surface of the planet. So the water here, most of the times the oceans have a less uh, uh, reflective on the surface. Forest, here we have a difference from temperate and from rainforest. So temperate forests are between 15 and 18 percentage of reflective. Uh, Rainforest between 18 to 25. Sand or the deserts between 30 35. Old snow because have some dirty and carbon and all between 70. The clouds around 80, and fresh snow in 90-95% of reflective. So this uh, change a lot the climate, how this will be reflect, and how all this energy that will be reflected will be captured by the atmosphere, or even when we think about the oceans and the forest, how this energy that is not reflected will be captured by photosynthesis, even in the oceans by the algae. So when we implement a photovoltaic farm, we need to look to this because these show us the dynamic that happen with the flows of energy. So here an example, infrared image from a photovoltaic farm. So here we can see how much energy comes from the photovoltaic farm that is heated by the sun and create a lot of energy. And this energy is the same wavelength that will be captured by the CO2 after the daylight. Here at the same example, so here we have the trees, the vegetation, the rooftops of the houses, and the asphalt kept a lot of energy and emit infrared that will be captured by the atmosphere. So here it's a graphic. So this light comes from the sun. So we have the UV, visible, infrared, and part of this is absorbed by the water and the CO2 in the atmosphere, and the rest of the light will reach the surface of the Earth and will be transformed in heat and will emit the infrared after. So here we have how the atmosphere reacts to that. So the CO2, uh, we have the infrared, some peaks that react with the CO2, and the energy that comes from this uh, infrared that comes from the surface will be captured by the CO2. The water, so water have kept more energy from the surface, like this energy that comes from the surface after the daylight, and the O2 and ozone too. So here we have an interesting point that O2 and ozone is the like the molecules that most emit the outgoing infrared that radiates from the planet to the to the sky, or to the universe, out of the planet, out of the atmosphere. And in the atmosphere, like the water and the CO2 have exchange between these molecules to eliminate this heat from the atmosphere. So a good example, like the water, work very like it's the most important molecule to regulate this temperature in the atmosphere, because the water remove part of, or a good part of the heat from the surface through the evapotranspiration. So we have the evaporation of the water from the surface and the transpiration of the water through the leaves of the plants. So this kept a lot of energy, and brings all this energy to the atmosphere, eliminate this infrared radiation to the space. So look how important is the water. And when we implement a photovoltaic farm, most of the times we remove this element, because we remove the vegetation. So you will reduce the evapotranspiration capacity of the surface. Yeah, almost the same graphic with the percentage. So we have a lot more water in the atmosphere working with this kind of transportation of energy from the surface to the atmosphere to the space. So we need, when we think about climate, about like the CO2 emissions, kept the energy in the atmosphere and heat up like the climate. We cannot forget the water, because the water have more capacity to do this exchange of energy. So here is the graphic that most of the times we see in most of the publications about this flux of energy. So part is absorbed, so almost half of the energy that comes from the sun is absorbed in the surface. Part is reflected by the clouds. So here we have the water cycle interfering in this reflectance of the atmosphere. So when we have more trees, more evapotranspiration, we have more clouds in the sky, and these can reflect more energy. And if even like the evapotranspiration remove a lot of heat from the surface and exchange with other molecules in the atmosphere, and this energy can goes to the sky too, or to the space. So it's not just the CO2 emissions that we need to look. The water is a very important part of the fluxes of the climate. So when we remove the capacity of the surface to produce this water, or to produce the evapotranspiration, to do this exchange of energy, we are worse the scenario about climate change. So here we have the good examples. So rainforest, temperate forest, grassland, and the photovoltaic. So even here we can see a lot of evapotranspiration in the rainforest, even in the temperate. And like, remember that I said that the albedo of the rainforest and the temperate forest, it's about 20%. So the rest of the energy that reach the surface will be most of the time absorbed by photosynthesis in the plant. So in the rainforest, we have sometimes 4 or 5 layers of of different plants that can absorb through the photosynthesis the energy that comes from the sun. Temperate forests have less layers, so sometimes 3 to 2 layers in this case, that will absorb the energy and transform through the photosynthesis in carbohydrates and keep the CO2 and the energy here, and not create so much heat that can like increase the temperature locally. Grassland will be the same with less energy capture, like with less photosynthesis here, but have the evapotranspiration too. We'll keep, and all these trees will keep the soil health, because we'll keep the moisture in the soil, we'll keep the humidity in the air, so can control better the climate. But when we look to the photovoltaic farm, we remove entirely the vegetation most of the time, and this can cause the reduction of evapotranspiration. So we don't have anymore the exchange of energy from the surface to the atmosphere to the space. And the photovoltaic farm will heat up during the day, and we will emit a lot of infrared in the beginning of the night too. And these can be captured by the CO2, because here we can see we don't have so much clouds in the sky, so we don't have this exchange between that the water is responsible. So most of the times we think about photovoltaic, we think about the energy production, about the CO2 that we are emitting less, but we lost a lot of information, a lot of knowledge that help more than just the CO2. Like the water cycle here, it's more important than just produce the energy. So photovoltaic farms can be good, yes, for sure. We can produce energy in a good way, but the way that we are implement this, it's can like are creating more harm and more damage to the climate than the good of the energy. So like these huge farms are not so good to the situation that we are facing right now about the ecological crisis. We are lost in biodiversity. We are worse in the scenario about climate change, thinking about microclimates. So photovoltaic can be good, but in a different view. So here we have agri photovoltaics. So here we can have a grass-fed animals, or in the rooftop. Like this is not the best, because we'll heat up and emit a lot of infrared during the day and part of the night. So this will increase the temperature locally. And here we have an example of a green rooftop together with a photovoltaic. So this is the best, because even when we add the green rooftop together with the photovoltaic, we can increase even the production of energy of the photovoltaic, because we can reduce the temperature on the system, and this benefits the photovoltaic production, or the energy that the photovoltaic produce. Yeah, so this is the short, or almost the short introduction about the problem. I don't cover the entire life cycle, because yeah, it's a lot of points to cover. But yeah, I think this can help a lot to
Yeah,
understand.
it opens a new horizon, let me put it this way. So for everybody that kind of now was looking at like, oh, what is this or about, or or what this piece of information means for me, that signalizes a little bit the systemic element is also resonating with you. So just a quick teaser on this one. If you're interested to be more in these topics involved, to get more information on this, we invite you to join our community. Just drop the comment System 24 under the video wherever you are, if you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook, or any other channel, and join us so you get some more information that eventually will impact either the projects that you realize, the business clients that you advise, or the projects where you invest in. So with this, thank you so much, Diego, for giving us the brief on this, as you mentioned, like a little intro on that, and allow me for some questions, because there were so many elements that you kind of pinpointed during your talk, during your note on this. And I would just try to go one after another. I was taking some notes here. Of course, if we have some more comments or questions, let us know. And I would start basically with the electromagnetic fields that you kind of flagged also during your talk. If you remember, it was on the impact on animal behavior, creating these large zones that have different or that create different electromagnetic fields, etc., that can have an impact. Now, there was also a very interesting study, I believe, in 2022 by the Dubai Institute of Future, that was also flagging some of the biggest potential areas for cities, for smart cities in the future, for development and, yeah, for sustainable and systemic development, and creating protection zones against electromagnetic radiation was flagged as one of the top 10 opportunities in this field in smart cities. Why do you think this is of importance? You mentioned there are some adjustments or potential changes in the behavior of animals. Do you expect something like this then for humans as well, or why would you see as a perspective or on that to share?
Yeah, like these electromagnetic fields, like can change even our behavior or our physiology. I don't know. I don't know if you have the possibility to be below of these power lines. Like you can feel the electromagnetic field. It's very intense. So when we think about behavior of animals, like the birds will be uh, impact about these electromagnetic fields. Uh, yeah, like the movement of the animals through different areas, because most of the times these power lines cut the environment in half. So like we start to see different behaviors of the animals when they need to cross these power lines. So the birds have problems with that because electromagnetic fields can change a lot of things from physiology, uh, uh, cellular biology, the metabolism, or even the orientation of the animals can be changed by these electromagnetic fields. So yeah, it's a concern, but people don't care so much. So yeah, this idea to create spaces that block these huge electromagnetic fields can be a good thing even for us. So even for us, would be good to don't have this influence all the time.
Absolutely. I mean, a super interesting field. And, many times it's also, and we see that everywhere, if it's plastics, if it's soil, it's information that has never been here before. So people are kind of, like, oh, what is this about? Never heard about it. So it's also the importance of sharing awareness on what are the negative impacts, or, how to protect, especially when you kind of deploy a system in a large scale in all the countries. Is there maybe a key ratio, or something that you will, as a from the scientific point of view, also as an person skilled and experienced in ecology, would recommend to use?
Mm. Yeah, right now, mm, yeah, I don't know right now. I need to think more about that. But yeah, I think like just the impact that cause the implementation of the power lines already cause a lot of damage. Uh, it's yeah, yeah. I need to think more about that.
No worries, and certainly you can also share your insights or some thoughts on that after the call in the comment section, so people can benefit from that, and kind of can read it for themselves or add their comments, etc. And also to follow a little bit this path of some kind of advice or insights or recommendations. um, you also mentioned some innovation, and there is a lot of things going on in this field. There are this organic waste, solar panels. You have all the foils that are now starting. You have transparent. You have different colors of solar panels that have sometimes also different properties or different efficiencies. What is like the approach that you would see as meaningful in terms of, for example, equipping a community or a city with solar panels? What would be the priority areas where you would say, hey, this makes sense. We have the minimum risk here. We can combine it with, you mentioned, green roofs or, some kind of greenery elements connected to that kind of even increase the efficiency. What would be your recommendation on this for example, urban planning or municipalities?
Yeah. So I think for the best solution using photovoltaics is to implement this in the rooftops to reduce the implementation of power lines, like the distribution, so you don't have these power lines crossing entire environment. And yeah, for sure, the green rooftops, it's good not just to improve the production of energy from the photovoltaic, but can help the houses to regulate more the temperature inside. We can reduce the problems about floods because we'll keep more water, so you can reuse this water after the rain. And all this together with the photovoltaic, you can produce energy with more efficiency than than without the green rooftop. About the other solutions, like I'm very excited about these innovations about photovoltaic, like the organic ones. I think is the most promising technology
Mhm.
uh, because we reduce a lot the waste and the mining problems. So I don't know, we can produce the material in a bioreactor, so it's more easy, and the raw materials that we need to use are less impactful for the planet. So I think this is a very good idea. But yeah, when we think about like the chain that produce all the elements to produce the photovoltaic, it's not so interesting because you remove the mining section, a good part of the industry that produce and survive from production of photovoltaic. So yeah, we we will see like this fight happen all the time.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
yeah, from the ecological perspective, I think the organic ones are the will be the best in the future.
Yeah, so I mean, it could be also a step. I mean, you hear a lot on all the segments. So we have it very, very often here, a topic of decentralization, or either it's water treatment, wastewater treatment. It's energy production, decentralized. It's food production that people are interested more and more to have it in decentralized forms. We know what the problems are with mass scale agriculture. So that is maybe eventually another way how to enable this, have your organic waste basically managed or repurposed or processed into local solar panels. Maybe that
Yeah,
would be a way to do it. So
Yeah.
exciting. And now, this sounds a little bit more futuristic because many people don't know about this. For some, it's completely new information. Some are happy to kind of have their first solar panels installed. But when talking about the impact right now for companies out of what you presented us today, we talked about life cycle assessment and the impact through all the stages. What is the upcoming things that you would like to refer or reference companies to kind of pay attention to in terms of potentially also regulation in Europe that can impact them, for example, either when they are engaged in this field? Just a second, please.
Yeah. So uh, yeah, right now I think the most insightful thing that we need to think when when a business or a company think to implement the photovoltaic systems or these energy different energy production is to produce on site. We already see some companies doing this, producing on site the energy, using the rooftop, reducing the power line transmissions and all. But yeah, it's not all the companies that try to do that. A lot of companies implement offsite, sometimes far away from the company, and they try to implement huge farms of photovoltaics that can cause a lot of harm, like I show, and change the entire microclimate of the area. And this can cause more harm to the society, to the environment, even to the company, uh, because this choice to like it's the same technology, but just the how we manage this is most of the times the how we manage things is the wrong point, because the technology could be a good thing, like I show in the rooftop or green rooftop. We can use this in a good way, but most of the companies choose to use in the wrong way, like creating these huge farms, changing the microclimate, creating a lot of damage. So yeah, it's just how we choose to manage the things. So stop to think the linear and reductionist way, and think more holistic, to look more broad, and try to figure out from the systemic thinking perspective how this will impact uh, the near space, or even far from there, because like the huge farms, they start to impact even far away from the farm, because if you reduce the evapotranspiration, you can change the rain near from the area or far from the area, because you are reducing the evapotranspiration and so on. So yeah.
Hmm. So I believe it's also what I hear a little bit around this hunt for efficiency, and it's also a little bit the new technology. How can we make this work in large scale as low cost as possible? Doing as much as we can, being as most efficient as we can. But it's truly, the beauty. Once you start with systemic thinking, it's almost like like new world, a different perspective. Then you suddenly start to realize that there is much more to that. And would you see also the regulation from EU kind of supporting the systemic view on things, kind of looking maybe
Mm.
further to the supply chains, or is it, or even worldwide? If you have any perspective to share with us from other countries.
Yeah, right now I don't see any country taking steps through the holistic view and systemic thinking. Most of the times, uh, we just see them keep the linear and reductionism way of thought. And yeah, this most of the times is what create more harm and worse the scenario of the ecological crisis, because they don't see the problems happen or the solutions. like they look just to the solutions like the photovoltaic. They are looking just to reduce the CO2, but they are missing a lot of information that is very important. And when we think about complex adaptive systems, that is nature, uh, all the chains or all the actions that you choose to take can create a lot of chain reactions, feedbacks, and all. And this is the key element to create sustainability. Understand the system before you take an action. So yeah, and I think the course will cover this very well when we talk about the Ashby's law. Like he described this for a technological system, so a digital system, but cover very well to understand or to show the approach that we need to take in nature too. So I think if someone have interest to understand how impactful the linear and the reductionism are, just take a look in the Ashby's law. I think people will start to at least understand a little bit about what we are talking.
Mm. Thank you so much, Diego, for your time today and for sharing with us your insights and perspectives on the challenges with photovoltaics. With this, I would say thank you to also everybody, all the viewers, for being today here with us. If you have any comments, we are more than happy if you, leave them in the comment section so we can come back and cover questions related to that. My name is Jana Skokan. I'm the co-founder of Frogeex, and I see you on the next one. Thank you so much, Diego.
Thank you.